Hello, my name's Chad Fisher. I'm an instructional technology coach in Frederick County, Virginia. And today I'm going to show you how we built our AR Sandbox at James Wood High School. An augmented reality sandbox allows a user to see a projected overlay on top of the sand in the sandbox and interact with it. Moving the sand in the box creates different elevations that the computer picks up and translates into colors based on that elevation. Wiggling your fingers over an area will make it rain by having a virtual water flow downhill. You can see the shimmering in the lower sections depicting this. A keyboard can be used with an assigned key to instantly add a flood to the sand, or another key can be used to dry out the sand. We found an inexpensive keypad on Amazon that would do the same thing, so we could remove the keyboard. Water that is projected will always flow to the lowest elevation. So our first steps were to talk to the departments that would be able to assist in the creation of the AR Sandbox, or the Augmented Reality Sandbox. And those departments happen to be the agriculture department, so that way they could possibly help us actually construct the physical sandbox. I talked to the administration to see if we could get some funds to afford some of the supplies, and we talked to the IT department to make sure we could get the correct equipment. The UC Davis website, or UC Davis themselves, are the ones that originally created the augmented reality sandbox. Their website has all of the plans, the software, the step-by-step instructions that you'll need. The web page itself has various bits of information in the menu at the top. You can see the installation, hardware, software, there's a community, there's a forum, there's all kinds of information here, and I highly recommend that you go to their website prior to considering the construction of an augmented reality sandbox. There are various videos on here and other resources, so that way you can kind of show those interested in building one what a AR sandbox looks like. The map, you'll be able to see all kinds of other places that have built them. This website from Beal Science, or the YouTube video that is, he shows a great demonstration of the sandbox in action and a little bit of how he created it. Some supplies that you'll be needing in order to build your own augmented reality sandbox. You'll need lumber to be able to construct the sandbox itself. We had ours donated, fortunately, from our ag department, who just used this as another one of their projects. We needed the projector. We actually tried two different ones, and we finally settled on the one that's recommended by the UC Davis site. We needed play sand. We had to have a computer, Xbox 360 Connect, so that way it can pick up the elevations. We used paint and sealer to seal the sandbox, so that way we could add water to stiffen up the sand. You need, of course, tools. You need a mid-level gaming graphics card, network access to be able to download and install the software, power strip. Then some optional supplies. We had a 3D printer, 3D modeling software. We wanted a separate keypad, and we used some plastic scoops to be able to play in the sand itself. Those were optional. This is a picture of the sandbox sort of early on that the ag department was constructing for us. You can see it was pretty sturdy with the supports underneath. We do have it on casters, so that way it can be moved and rolled around if need be. Um, the projector, you do want a mount of some type that's adjustable. As you can see here, we put one on that's made for projectors. The projector itself, we need to make sure we got the right kind of projector at first. We got the incorrect kind. This is the one that was suggested from a couple other resources that I found. And here's a picture of someone from IT and one of our student workers trying to find the correct position for that projector. This turned out to be a little challenging because we didn't quite get the projector mounted in the 100% correct spot. I donated a old Dell computer that I had sitting around, so that way we could run the sandbox, and we were able to just have it on its side. I also had an Xbox 360 Connect sitting around, so I donated it for this as well. We just needed some adapters and some other cables that I got on Amazon. The sand, it was very important that we got the correct sand. You can't just get any kind of play sand. It will work, but we didn't want the silica floating around, so there's special play sand for that. This image just shows after we got everything installed and set up, some of the uh, alignment settings you needed to do. And then, of course, the sandbox running. Now, some optional parts that we needed or we didn't need, but we decided to add. So we used Tinkercad in order to make some little design additions to the whole entire sandbox. Again, these were pretty much optional. So the original mount for the Xbox 360 Connect, it didn't quite work. The Connect kept sliding around. It kept moving. We ended up taking it off. I used Velcro strips to try to hold it in place. That ended up falling off. So I went online, found a mount on Thingiverse.com, and I adjusted it and 3D printed it and screwed it into the frame that we had protecting the projector. It works perfect. We don't have any issues with it at all. And as you can see in these pictures, there's a close-up view of that mount. The Kinect can just slide in and out from the top of that mount at this point. Now, the UC Davis website, in their directions, they do ask that you credit them in some way. So they have a couple options, but instead of just using those, I decided to make a little plaque that we would 3D print even with some fake screw holes there. And I do the front of the AR Sandbox, so that way anyone walking up would be able to see that plaque. Now, one of the latest additions was we had a keyboard, as you saw in the beginning, I mentioned of the video, that you can press a button on a keyboard to make it rain. It almost floods the whole entire sandbox virtually, or it can dry out the whole entire thing. We didn't like to have that keyboard just sitting around, so we purchased the little remote keypad here off of Amazon, and I designed a case to be able to hold it and mount it onto the back post of the sandbox. And then I just took some paint. It's a little sloppy, but I took some paint and painted in the little recessed areas and painted the arrows. The sandbox itself, we try to keep on as much as possible, so that way students can kind of walk through into the library, which is where we keep it, and kind of play around with it and discover for themselves what can be done. It's amazing. This is at a high school, and the number of high school students that rush over to the sandbox and want to play in the sand. Now, we did have some troubleshooting. There were some issues that definitely came up while creating this. As I mentioned earlier, under the optional section, that was the original mount. We decided to get rid of that and create a new mount. There was some troubleshooting getting everything aligned correctly because the projector was not centered as well as we wanted. So we did have some next steps. This is a short little video clip of something I was trying to experiment with a teacher. Because the water does flow downhill to the lowest elevation, I created a little dam out of some Legos, pulled the the spillway out, a little piece of Lego, and all the water flowed down to the lower section. So there was a lesson that we were going to try to do where the kids could have like little houses. They could learn about dams and how flooding occurs in various areas of the world. There are other ways to depict the water. For instance, I need to find out how to make the water look like lava. Others have managed to do this with their sandboxes. If you look online, you'll be able to find videos of people that have actually created lava instead of water. And this is the website again, where I'd seriously advise you to go if you're interested in creating your own AR sandbox. Thank you. My name's Chad Fisher. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.